Hey everyone, welcome to today's Explainer. We're going to dive right into a super famous, really old story. I'm talking hundreds of years old. It's all about a boy, a flock of sheep, and one gigantic mistake. So get comfy, keep your ears open, and let's find out exactly what happens when we decide not to tell the truth.
So real quick, before we meet our main character, I have a question for you. Have you ever told a tiny lie? Maybe you played a little trick on a friend or told a quick fib to get out of trouble. It happens to a lot of us. And sometimes right in that moment, a little fib seems completely harmless, right? Like it's just a bit of fun. But as we're going to see today, those tiny little fibs, they can actually grow into a much, much bigger problem.
Part 1. Meet Gopi the Shepherd.
Okay, so Gopi lived in this incredibly beautiful, quiet village tucked right into these rolling green hills, and he had a very important job. He was a shepherd boy. But watching sheep wasn't exactly what you'd call a thrilling adventure. In fact, his days were spent sitting entirely alone on a hill, hour after hour after hour. It was terribly, terribly dull. The sheep just chewed grass, slowly. Nothing exciting ever happened. It was literally just Gopi, the wind, and a whole lot of super boring time to pass.
But then, a mischievous little idea popped right into his bored head. He thought to himself, wait, what if I shout, "Wolf! Wolf!" Everyone would come running. He figured out the perfect plan. Step 1, get bored. Step 2, yell wolf. And step 3, laugh at all the villagers when they run all the way up the hill for absolutely no reason. To Gopi, this seemed like the ultimate joke to cure his boredom.
Part 2. The first funny trick.
So Gopi puts his plan into action. He stands right up, takes a massive deep breath, cups his hands around his mouth, and shouts at the absolute top of his lungs, "Wolf! Wolf! Help! A wolf is attacking the sheep!" And he made sure his voice sounded as panicked and terrified as he possibly could.
And it worked! Down in the village, people heard his panicked screams. They literally dropped their tools, grabbed whatever heavy sticks they could find, and raced up that hill as fast as their legs could carry them to save him. But picture this contrast. When they get to the top, panting, out of breath, totally afraid, there's no wolf at all. Just Gopi rolling around on the ground, laughing his head off. He even giggled at them, saying, "Oh man, you should have seen your faces."
So, pause for a second. Do you think the villagers thought it was funny? Imagine how you would feel. You just ran all the way up a massive, steep hill because you thought someone you cared about was in terrible danger, only to find out they were just making fun of you. Yeah, the villagers were pretty annoyed. But, they're good people, so they were mostly just relieved that Gopi was safe. They sighed, shook their heads, and marched all the way back down to their hard work.
Part 3. The second warning.
Fast forward just a few days later, and Gopi is back on the hill, incredibly bored all over again. Looking for another quick laugh, he shouts it again, "Wolf! Wolf! It's here!" And because the villagers are caring people, they dropped their tools again. They ran up that super steep hill again, hearts pounding. And what did they find at the top? Nothing. Just Gopi, laughing at them a second time.
Well, this time, the villagers were not just annoyed. Oh no, they were truly angry. They looked right at Gopi, faces completely stern, and warned him, "If you cry wolf one more time, we will not believe you, not ever again." And you could tell they meant every single word of it. Okay, what would you do if you were Gopi right now? Your friends and neighbors are super mad at you. They've just given you a very real, very serious warning. Do you stop playing tricks? Do you take your job seriously? Gopi definitely had a big choice to make about how he was going to act from here on out.
Part 4. A real wolf appears.
A few more days pass. Gopi is back with the sheep, but this time, something is different. The wind is a little colder, the forest is just a little too quiet. And then, slowly creeping out from the dark shadows of the trees, is a real wolf. Large, hungry, and completely silent. It locks its eyes on the flock and begins stalking toward them. This was no joke anymore. Real danger had actually arrived.
Gopi's heart is absolutely pounding, and not from excitement this time, but from genuine terrifying fear. He screams with absolutely all his might, his voice shaking, "Wolf! Wolf! It's real this time! Please help me!"
So up on the hill, Gopi is screaming his lungs out in actual, genuine fear, desperate for someone to save him. But down in the village, crickets. Not a single person moved. They heard the screams loud and clear, but they just kept right on working. Why didn't they run up? Well, they were literally just telling each other, "It's just Gopi again, playing his tricks. We're not falling for it this time. Because he had lied to them for fun before, they assumed he was just lying for fun again.
And so, no matter how loudly Gopi screamed, nobody came. The hungry wolf attacked the flock, scattered them everywhere, and ran off with a lot of the village's sheep. When it was all over, the hill was quiet again. Gopi just sat there, completely alone on the hillside, crying. He lost the sheep, but even worse, he had lost the help of his friends.
Part 5. The Important Lesson. Later that evening, the villagers finally climbed up to see why Gopi hadn't come home. And this brings us to a really crucial word in our explainer: trust. Trust means feeling safe that someone is telling you the truth. When you trust someone, you just believe their words. When the villagers ran up that hill the first 2 times, it was because they trusted Gopi. But as little jokes, they took all that trust away.
When the villagers finally saw the empty sheep pens, their hearts just sank. Gopi looked down at the ground, his face burning with shame, and whispered, "I lied so many times, and this time when I told the truth, no one believed me." He finally understood the real damage his silly jokes had caused.
So, here are the big takeaways from Gopi's story, the things we really need to remember. First, lying destroys trust. It breaks that safe, comfortable feeling between people. Second, and this is the tough one, once trust is broken, even the truth isn't believed. If people think you're always tricking them, they won't know when you actually need help. And finally, every lie has real consequences. Gopi thought it was just a game, but the consequence was losing the sheep and losing the belief of his entire village.
Which leaves us with this final thought. How will you make sure people can always trust your words? Next time you think about telling a little fib, just remember Gopi. Protect your trust like it's the most valuable thing you own, because honestly, it kind of is. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep telling the truth and keep learning.
Like, share and subscribe for more videos.